So what's up guys, I'm Black Amazing, welcome back to another video where today I'm going to explain for you exactly what we see happen in the Modern Warfare 3 Zombies ending cutscenes. And I say cutscenes because we have 3 different ones split into 3 different acts. If you don't know how the Easter egg or storyline works in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, we don't have a main quest this time. Instead, there are 3 different acts you complete by doing a bunch of missions in game, and upon completing each act, you get a cutscene. So there is one for Act 1, one for Act 2, and then the final cutscene you see when you complete Act 3. All 3 of these cutscenes are part of the ending cutscene. Just think of it as one big one that's been split into 3 different sections. So let's go ahead and take a look at them and explain what this ending means for the zombie storyline. But just before I do that, let me give you guys a little bit of context as to how we got up to this point. In the intro cutscene for Modern Warfare 3, we saw Victor Zakhaev along with his assailants travel to Las Almas, where they infiltrated a hotel, went in the basement, and down there they found Weaver, Strauss, Carver and Gray dead, sitting around a table. In the middle of the table was a device. Zakhaev opened it, where inside were a couple of Ethereum vials. Zakhaev takes them, secures them in a container, and then leaves. But as they're leaving the hotel, they end up fighting in the streets against the military police, and severely outnumbered, all but one of Zakhaev's men are eliminated. Under fire and in desperate straits, he resorts to throwing one of the vials towards his attackers, which shatters on the ground, spreading a purple fog, turning everybody in the area into zombies. But unfortunately, or I guess you could say fortunately for Zakhaev, he manages to lock himself inside of his car and escape, leaving Las Almas to become infested with the undead. And that's where we kick off in Modern Warfare 3. Following the events that happened, SSO Kate Laswell, Soap, Revanov and SSO Green descend upon the site in a helicopter, where you, the player, the strike team, have to go on foot to not only find out what Zakhaev was planning a few months before, but also to stop the outbreak. So that's what we do. We go in, fight the undead, complete a bunch of missions and objectives around the map, where eventually they attempt a rescue mission for someone called Dr. Jansen. She was a person that was hired by Zakhaev to conduct research on energy production from n-dimensional interactions, but the problem was Jansen didn't know who she was working for. She thought that the work she was going to be doing was theoretical, until she realised it wasn't. Before working for Zakhaev, she was a cancelled physicist, I guess you could call her. For reasons, her laboratory was raided by the FBI and her research was confiscated. Fortunately for her, she managed to walk free from detention, but soon after she was hired by Zakhaev to continue her Ethereum research, but for him. Anyway, Jansen eventually finds out that the work she's doing for Zakhaev isn't what she thought. She double crosses him, where she calls the strike team. We go in to rescue her. She is extracted via helicopter, and it is this point where the first cutscene kicks off. So we see Soap and Revanov taking Dr. Jansen to the, I guess this is the HQ of Operation Deadbolt, which is an operation that was created by the CIA in the aftermath of the first zombie outbreak during the events of Black Ops Cold War. Jansen gets taken into an interrogation room. She explains why she was working for Zykov. She tells SSO Green that she didn't know that he was a terrorist, she didn't know his true intentions. Green confronts Jansen and says you're lying, but eventually Jansen tells Soap, Revanov and Green that Zakhaev is still out there and has even more weapon grade Ethereum. And only she, because she knows Ethereum down to its protons, having worked on it before, can find a way to neutralise it. And that's pretty much where the first cutscene finishes. Jansen is freed, where she's now helping us. We cut to Zakhaev and Fletcher talking about their plans with the Ethereum. Fletcher wants to sell it, and Zakhaev has bigger plans to use it as a weapon. So the strike team, along with Dr. Jansen's help, set off to neutralise the Ethereum in Las Almas, and they succeed to a certain extent. The ether neutralizer did disable any Ethereum within its blast radius, but it only worked on raw, unprocessed Ethereum. Because the Ethereum that Zakhaev has in his hands is processed weapons grade Ethereum, that means using their neutralizer, it couldn't be neutralized. And so, as you saw in the cutscene, using Dr. Strauss's research that he founded during the 80s and the Cold War, that Zakhaev had stored in a vault in Las Almas, Jansen wanted to obtain Strauss's research and use it to amplify the neutralizer and recalibrate its output. SSO Green approves the plan. I mean, they don't really have a choice. They have nothing to counter Zakhaev in case he ends up using his final Ethereum vial, so this is their only option. But we witness, just as everyone walks out the room, Jansen holds her head and takes a couple of pills, and when Revanov asks her what's wrong, she just passes it off as a migraine. Anyway, the strike team one last time go to Las Almas. They infiltrate the vault, where they find Strauss's research. They use it to upgrade the neutralizer and then activate it. And shortly after doing that, a giant worm creature, I don't even know what you're supposed to call this thing or what it's supposed to be, but it's called Orcus, comes out of the ground and starts attacking them. The crew then fight off against it, near defeat after a shortish battle against this worm. Dr. Jansen runs to the ether neutralizer, you see electricity shoot all up her arm, and she deactivates the machine. And upon doing that, it explodes, killing the creature, but also opening up a portal to what we can only assume the dark ether. This dark ether portal then begins to suck everything inside of it. Everybody holds on for their life. Zakiv notices that his final vial of Ethereum is neutralized, and Dr. Jansen begins getting sucked towards the dark ether portal, where upon getting close to it, an entity comes out and says to her, "Let us in." Before Dr. Jansen screams, the portal closes, the entity goes back inside, and Dr. Jansen falls to the ground, where we see she opens her eyes and they glow up purple. Revanov then asks Jansen what happened, and she says she thought she heard a voice, someone calling from the other side. Now, of course, there's a few interesting things that have gone on here. The big one being, who is this that comes out of this rift? There are many different theories and speculations that you could come up with that I could do for a different video, but of course, the biggest one being Samantha. At the end of Cold War Zombies, we know she became trapped within the Dark Ether again when she plunged herself into the Forsaken to close down all of the outbreak zones in the 80s. This right now takes place between 2019 and 2023, so a long time after Samantha was banished to the Dark Ether, but considering the last time we saw her, she was trapped in there is a chance that this entity is Samantha. And it says to Dr. Jansen, or let's just call her Ava, "Let us in," before Ava opens her eyes up and they are purple. We know this eye colour is a representation of the Dark Ether. We saw in Black Ops Cold War, Samantha had purple eyes to represent her being infected by the Dark Ether. We also see lightning coming off Ava's hands, which is really interesting because, again, in Cold War Zombies, this was one of Samantha's powers. In the final map Forsaken, we can see her fly, electricity surrounding her. She shot kind of like purple electric Ethereum from her hands. We also witnessed before this event earlier on, Ava have headaches, so even before all of this, it's clear that something was going on with her. This hasn't just occurred now when she's come face to face with this Dark Ether entity. Ava has been playing about with Ethereum for a long time, so there's plenty of points to speculate off there as well, that I suppose we'll learn more about later on. But the main thing being, it seems like Ava, considering what we've seen with Samantha previously, is infected by the Dark Ether, and we're yet to see it, besides from the electricity from her hands, but probably has Dark Ether powers. The other interesting thing was the fact that the entity said to her, "Let us in." Who is us? If this was Samantha coming out of this portal, is us referring to the other Dark Ether creatures? In Cold War, it was the Forsaken who was the leader of the Dark Ether creatures, but since he was captured, has Samantha replaced him? Is she now top of the rankings in the Dark Ether? When she says "let us in," does she mean her and her Dark Ether minions? There is also the chance the entity isn't Samantha. But anyway, the cutscene finishes off where we see Soap rounding up all of Zakhaev's men. He tells them to take them to the brig. Zakiv ends up escaping, and we learn that the ether neutralizer didn't fully work because the zombies are still coming. And as the camera pans out, we see there is some strange activity going on in the distance. And that's where it finishes. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this continues as we go on through our DLC seasons, as we learn more about this story. But there's quite a few interesting things here and a lot that you could elaborate on. A lot of theories that you could come up with. Is it Samantha? Isn't it? If not, who? What's now going on with Ava? How are they going to stop this? But this is just an initial explanation of the ending cutscene, so there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Is all this cloak and dagger stuff necessary? I'm the one who called you, remember?
I'm not the one that needs convincing. Keep walking. Welcome to Operation Deadbolt. The boss would like a word with you.
The company hired me to continue my research on energy production from n-dimensional interactions. It was purely theoretical, right up until it wasn't. As for Zakhaev, I had no idea I was working for a terrorist.
You're lying.
I thought he was the CEO. I'm a physicist, not a mind reader. And I wouldn't have had to work for him, or anyone, if you assholes hadn't shut me down. Zakhaev is still out there with even more weapons-grade Ethereum, but I happen to know he keeps it on his person at all times. Why would I tell you that if I didn't want him stopped? Look, I know this element down to its protons. I'm fairly certain I can find a way to neutralize it.
Fairly certain won't cut it. Can you do it or not? Perhaps we should hear her out.
Please, I have to fix this. I may be the only person who can.
You better be right.
Extraction's going great. Gonna make a killing selling this Ethereum.
When I've enriched enough to make more of these, you can do as you please with the rest.
And what about our runner?
She's played her part. Find her and kill her.
As you can see, the test was a success. The ether neutralizer destabilizes any Ethereum within its blast radius. What remains of the element rapidly decays into harmless isotopes. But that was raw, unprocessed Ethereum. The material in Zakhaev's vial is highly enriched. My projections show this weapons-grade Ethereum can withstand our prototype.
In other words, you failed. This was a waste of time and resources.
Not true. The principle has been proven. We just need to amplify the neutralizer and recalibrate its output.
And you can do that, can you?
Not quite. But Zakhaev obtained research written by the expert on Ethereum enrichment.
Strauss. Old mate of yours? Friends are a luxury I can seldom afford.
Zakhaev stored Strauss's research in a vault. It'll be heavily guarded, but that research holds the key to upgrading the neutralizer.
We don't have time for this. Our focus should be Zakhaev himself.
And if we find him, then what? He unleashes his remaining vial and we have nothing to counter it. Deadbolt might be able to hammer this thing hard enough to contain it. But if the objective is to end it, that neutralizes our best shot.
Fine. Get Strauss's data. See what Dr. Jansen can do with it.
Ava, what is wrong?
It's just a migraine. It'll pass. They always do.
Dr. Jansen, wait! Eva.
What happened?
Do you not remember?
No. I thought I heard a voice. Something calling from the other side.
Take him to the brig. Green will get the interrogation started. Nice sign of Zakayev. He may be bloodied, but he's still breathing. Next time he sticks his head up, I'll take it off.
What about the neutralizer?
Dobbs, what's the sit-rep? Give me some good news.
Negative. Good initial clear on detonation, but dark ether contacts are repopulating.
Pipet.
Also picking up an energy spike in the red zone. Never seen anything like it.
Well, looks like this shit show just keeps getting better and better. Everyone on TP! Looks like this op isn't gonna be over anytime soon.
Bang, Ravenov. Ready for evac.
Solid copy. Stand by. ETA 2 minutes.